Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of What on Earth Have I Got Myself Into? I'm going to be taking the drum sander back, and I thought maybe I could give you guys a little insight into what it took to get to where I'm at currently. And for all you wannabe floor refinishers, if this is your dream, maybe I can provide a little insight that will help you in your endeavors as you move forward. But in any case, this is the machine that I have rented. It's the Silver Line, and I'm not sure, well, I'm not a real big fan of it, to tell you the truth, but just to give you an idea, I started with this grit right here, which is a 20 grit paper. Actually, that's wrong. I started with this grit and found that it just gummed up, and this is a 36. So that's a 36 grit, and with the old floor finish that was on here, shellac, varnish, whatever it was, it just melted and gummed up the paper. So I went to this, and if I could have gone to like a 12 or something, I probably would have. It would have saved me a ton of time, because getting through that finish was key, and it will be key for anybody who's refinishing the floor. Getting that first, pass across the floor and getting rid of that old floor finish so you can get down to wood that you can actually sand. That's what you're trying to do with that. So I highly recommend, don't think in terms of coarseness when it comes to floor finishing versus furniture. Like a coarse grit, a 60 grit or a 40 grit is very coarse for standard woodworking. But on a floor and taking up finish, no, it's not even close. You need really, really coarse to start with. And if you start here, that's fine, but make sure you're ready to go back to something like this if you need something more aggressive. And I needed this, and I would have gone even more aggressive if I could have found the paper. But anyway, I went from this to 20, this to a 36, and then did a 60. I'm now going to go to an 80. And the way that this works is you've got this sheet of paper, and it's cut on an angle, you can see here, on both ends. It's not square. And the reason for that is because when you put it on the drum, it has to line up. But anyway, I'll show you this. You've got this little sandpaper bender on top, it's what it says. And you basically take your sheet of paper and you stick it in this way, and all the way to where it hits that metal tab at the bottom. And then once it's there, then you fold it over and you crease that. My sweetheart here to film. Doing this one-handed may get a little tricky. So you crease that end, and then you flip it over, and you do the other side. Make sure it's seated, and fold it over. Crease it. Now you have two little tabs that are folded over for you. And then you open this little bad boy up, and here's your drum. And it has this slot in it. You can see it's on the diagonal. And there's a nut right here that's actually a cam. And there's one on the other side over here. And there's a little half moon crescent that's down in here that will rotate to actually hold the paper. So you then take your paper, and make sure I can do this one-handed. I'll give it a whirl. Just slide that tab in there, and then you're just going to rotate this around. Again, with only one hand holding it tight, it may not stay in for me. It's not. Set this to the side. And you guys maybe see what I'm doing from here, but if not, I apologize. That goes in. Fed around till you have both sides, and then the other side slides in right beside it. So, and does that work or not? But you can see, so now I ended up with it like this. And now I got my sheet of paper on there. I'm going to take my handy dandy open-ended wrench, and this gets turned a quarter turn is all. That's all it takes is a quarter turn. So you turn that a quarter turn, and then you turn the other side, and maybe with this paper it's thinner, it'll take more than a quarter turn, but I think that's what it'll take. Again, doing it one hand, it's not the easiest. So hang on a second again, let me tighten it down. Okay, so now the paper's in good and tight. Now the other thing that happened here was the rental guy, they didn't really tell me anything about this machine. I guess they figure you're renting it, you should know what it is you're doing. But I immediately noticed that the sanding plane here was skewed one side or the other. And there's actually an adjustment for that. So basically at this point you would take and you'd turn on the machine and you take a little, you just lift the handle and make a little cut. So it just, you hear it hit the floor. And you just let it make a little cut, and then you check that cut. And you look to see, is it deeper on this side or deeper on that side? Because you have a little sanded line. And it'd be, if it's even all the way across, you're good to go. If it isn't, then you have to adjust it. When you adjust it, flipping this bad boy on the side, and I've gone ahead and already removed this little wing nut thingy, and that gets you to your belts and everything else. And here's a little adjustment right here. You loosen that screw, and then this turns, and you can see there's maybe you can't see in the video, but there's a slot there that'll move in, and one end is low and one end is high. And that's basically raising and lowering this wheel. That's it right there. And so if this side is high, then you need to lower this wheel. If this side is low, then you need to raise this wheel. And that levels out that plane. And then you sand and sand and sand and sand and sand and sand and sand. So the other, I guess, helpful hint I'll give you, get this back up so you can just see what I'm talking about. The way that it works is if it's sitting forward, then like it is right now, then it's sanding, and it'll rock back, and now it's just on those back wheels. And if you rock all the way back, then it's just resting without touching anything. And so when you're actually sanding, you raise, and it starts to go, and it's sanding. If you keep pushing up higher, like you're going to try to lift those wheels off the ground a little bit, it adds more pressure to the drum, which increases the speed that this thing wants to move forward with, but it also provides more weight, if you will, on the drum, so it gets a deeper cut. So if you pull up at the same time as hold back and don't let it go faster across the floor, it'll give you a deeper cut than it will if you were just zipping across the floor. And so you're controlling the depth of cut by upward pressure and by pulling back at the same time. And then to ease your cut so you don't deck gouge in, you start to take pressure off of this until you actually lift it and then move on back, or go turn it around or pull it backwards or whatever you're going to do. I went forwards and backwards. I didn't turn it around, I just went forwards with it. And then once I got to the end, I just pulled it backwards. And you can do that, but the whole key is keep moving. If you stop, you'll dig in, and you gotta keep moving. And be patient. You're trying to level the floor, not just take off materials. So yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, I can tell you that. I'm an old man, but it's a good workout. It's a huge workout, and If you have more time than money, then great, have at it. But you'll be feeling it, I think, regardless of your age or fitness level, because it's truly a workout. These guys that do this for a living, they earn their keep. So anyway, hopefully that's of some interest and some help to anybody out there that's sanding floors. And with that, I'm going to get back at it and see if I can't get these rooms tidied up and done. Just to give you an idea, this room, I think it's about 15 by 18 feet. And just to do a quick sanding on it, with the drum sander, it takes me about half an hour. To really work it, it's, a couple hours in here without even thinking about it. And that's for every level of sanding that you do. So there's, I've probably got, in this room alone, with the 3 different passes I've done with, 3 different grades, and I'm going on to my 4th, I've probably got 8 hours in this room. And this room's a heck of a lot bigger. And I've got that room over here, which is about this, it's a little smaller, but it's got some other nooks and crannies that make things a little more difficult. So, this is my 4th day, and I haven't even started the edging, but I'll be done with the drum sander tonight. But it's taken 4 full days of work to get where I'm at, and they're full, long, hard days. So there you go. It's been great fun, but you'll learn your keep if you decide you want to do this. Anyway, talk to you later.